Hi, designers. You may be aware of the NASA program to get us to Mars. I'm pretty excited about it because I like space in general. I grew up reading science fiction, and the idea that we would actually get on Mars was science fiction for many years for me growing up. The idea that we'd get back to the moon from the time I was about a teenager has been mostly science fiction. So the idea that we are now actively, as a country in the United States, trying to get us to Mars, and that it's beyond the United States, that it's a worldwide effort, that we're working with the European Space Agency and the Japanese Space Agency. That's not what it's called. I can't remember what the Japanese Space Agency is called. But anyway, that's my memory issue. But we're trying to get to Mars. And as a step, we're going to put a base on the moon, which is super exciting to me. And the piece where we're trying to get to the moon is called Artemis. That's the name of that program. And so there's a lot of different efforts going on right now to work on that. One piece of that is the Orion spacecraft, which is what's going to take us there. And for our sketching, we're going to draw the crew module and the service module, the Orion spacecraft piece that's not just the rocket. So let me scroll down just a bit here. We are going. We're going to put the first woman on the moon. We're going to put the first black person on the moon. This is an amazing effort. And then, so this big rocket on the left there is just the fuel to get us up into space, to get us out of the Earth's gravity well. The actual spacecraft is the little part that goes way at the top, at the far end there, and that's this little white module. It's actually not little. You can see a ladder here in the front, which gives you some idea of the scale of this. It's much bigger than a human, so it's not little, but compared to that rocket above it, it's quite small. So we're going to try to draw that over the next few days. Because you guys are here today and the other class is missing out on the short week here, an extra chance to draw, you're going to get a little bit of a head start on this. Or if you're picking this up from the other class, we're going to get started after the Eid break. And this is what we're going to do. So you're going to scroll through here. This is probably going to take 2 classes to draw this. And then we're going to do a little bit more with it after we're done. The instructions here talk about using a pencil. And you know I don't like that with sketching. I want you to use a pen. Where they say pencil, what they're talking about is drawing guidelines for yourself. So when you see the pencil indicator on the page here, use your pen with your lightest line. This is where you're drawing the guidelines that you're going to use in order to draw the Orion spacecraft below in pen. And they'll say pen, we'll say darker. That's what's going to happen here. So the red is your indicator of what you're doing in this particular step. In this case, you're drawing a nice straight line across the middle. That's your axis. The whole spacecraft is going to be created around that. And then you're creating those ovals as guidelines for the various parts. We'll scroll down here, and now they say it's in pen. So we're going to be doing these red lines in a darker line using those guidelines we just created in the previous step, which are here in blue. And you can see them. And so those should be your lightest lines. Now you're using darker lines to actually fill in the ovals that you wanted. So maybe the first time you drew an oval, you didn't like the shape of it. You draw it again lightly. When you go back in this step, you pick out in your heavier marker the line that you wanted to use. And that's the design sketching process. So we'll go through this. There's several steps. I think there's 7 steps here. And again, 2 days to go through this, so you don't have to finish it in 1 day. In fact, I'd like you not to. It's better to spread it out over 2 days. So get 3 or 4 done the first day, and then 3 or 4 the second day. And when you finish, we're going to do a little bit of shading in here. You can see they used some cross-hatching, and the more hatches that you add, more different directions of hatching, the darker it gets. And so they've got several different levels of sketching shade there using the cross-hatching technique. And you'll end up with a nice little sketch of the Orion spacecraft module. And then after Eid, or in a couple of classes, if this is already after Eid when you watch this, then we'll take that and move forward with another project piece of this Artemis adventure that we're going to go on at the end of the year here. So get started, and if this is before the break, I wish you a great break. If it's just after, I hope you had a wonderful, restful break, and we'll get to work designing.